Hello, 7th graders, and welcome to Chapter 5. We're going to start with Lesson 5-2, which is I can write percents as fractions and decimals versa. So decimals as percents, fractions as percent, and so on. We'll be starting on page 256 in our textbook if you're going to follow along with that. You should have a understanding of this a little bit from 6th grade. We should know that fractions, decimals, and percents are all parts of wholes, and so that we can compare them and convert them to look like one another. So, like I said, fractions, percents, and decimals are all different ways to represent the same ratio, a part of a whole. If you look to this example, you could say maybe you're thinking of a test. If you scored 45 correct out of 100, that's the part you got right out of the whole. That's the same as 45 hundredths, the place value, which is the same as 45% of the total. One thing is important to remember is that percent means per 100. Think about percent. You know that cents are out of the hundreds place, so it's per cent, per 100. Okay? So percents and decimals. To get a percent, and percents are denoted with percent sign, to a decimal, something that's written more like this, you're going to write the percent as a decimal by dividing it by 100. When we divide, we move the decimal to the left. So it's really like the decimal is right there behind the percent sign. If you divide by 10, it'd go 1. Divided by another 10 or 100 goes 2 places. So 45% is really 45 hundredths. Hopefully you know that too, because you know, like, say we had 100, we divide that by 10, we get 10. That's just moving the decimal once. We divide it by 100, we get 1. So hopefully we know that about our place value. If not, make sure that you check in with that. So to write the decimal then, to get this decimal to a percent, looks like a whole number, you're going to multiply by 100. So you're really just going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. 2 tens places is 100. So you move it to the right. So percents as decimals, write each percent as a decimal. So 35%, we know it's 35 out of 100. Okay, so we know that 35, remember to go percent to decimal, we're going to divide by 100. Then we end up with 0 and 35 hundredths. Make sure you remove the percent symbol. 35 hundredths of a percent is not the same as 35%. Okay, 115%. Think logically here, 115%. That's kind of like an extra credit, right? That means you scored more than the possible. So again, we're going to divide by 100 from where the decimal would be if that were a whole number. We end up with 1 and 15 hundredths. Remember to remove the percent symbol because they don't represent the same thing. And that makes sense because that should be more than 1 because it's more than 100%, which is 1. Because 100 out of 100 would be 1. So you could give these ones a try. Write each percent as a decimal. Give those a try. Pause and come back and check those things out. So again, percent to a decimal is just dividing by 100. You build use calculator these ones. We want to make sure we can do it mentally. So I have 27. My decimal's here. 1, 2, and I actually end up with 27 hundredths. 145%. Move it twice. I'd end up with not a 0. Moving the decimal place, I had 1 and 45 hundredths. It should be more than 1. Same thing here. This one's a little different. Notice this is 2 tenths or 2 tenths of a percent. The decimal's here. It's not here. So I need to move from where it is. Divide by 10, 100. I'm going to have to fill in with the zeros here where my decimal. And this is actually the same as 2 thousandths. Okay? All right, then just going in the other way, decimals as percent. So remember, this is where we need to multiply by 100, which is moving the decimal 2 to the right. And then we add the percent symbol, okay? To add the percent symbol when we're going to a percent. Same thing on number 4 here. We're going to multiply by 100, moving it 2 places to the right. adding the percent symbol when we get there. Uh, Hopefully we should remember, obviously decimals that are greater than 1 are going to be more than 100%, okay? Because 1 is equal to 100%, 100 out of 100. So anything more than that would be more than 100%. Give these ones a try as well. Multiplying by 100 is the key here. So I have this decimal, I'm going to go 1, 2. So I get 83, and I add my percent symbol. 1, 2. This should be more than 100% because it's more than 1. So I end up with 176 and 4/10 of a percent. And here, this is going to be far less than 1, and it's going to be 0.5%. Okay, so fairly easy here so far, just moving decimals, multiplying and knowing your place down. Fractions as percents, there's a couple of things we need to keep track of. And remember here, there's two methods we can use, and this is shown on page 500 or 257. There's one method, which is to use a proportion, which we learned about in chapter 4. We know that a fraction is a part of a whole, and we know that percents are a certain amount out of 100 per 100. So we can set 3/8 equal to how much out of 100, what percent, to our cross products to end up at 3 times 100 and 8 times x. Multiply that out, so 300 equals 8x, and then divide by 8 to get x alone, or x is 37.5. But remember, we'd obviously want to add the percent symbol to denote that it is a percent, it's a part of a whole. Another method is writing it as a decimal. So we can divide, 3 divided by 8 is the same as 375 thousandths, and then use that method of multiplying by 100 to turn that decimal into a percent. And notice we do end up with the same answer, so therefore we did do it correctly. So you can give this one a try. 2/3 as a percent. So 2/3 I know is the same as 6/10 repeating. So I'm going to move my decimal 2 to the right, multiplying by 100 to get to a percent. And so if I were to round this up, that 6/10 repeating is going to round to 67 or 66 and 7/10 repeating. Because in real world situations, it continues to go on and on. Okay, so choose one of those methods using a proportion or the writing as a decimal, and you can try these ones out as well. If you're not sure, check in with those in class. Okay, if you're not sure how to get these, either method is fine. Remember, if you were going to use the method of proportion, you'd go like this and cross multiply. If you were going to use the method of writing as a decimal, this is really, you're going to be writing and dividing and doing how many times does 16 go into 3. And whatever you get here as a decimal, then you're going to multiply that decimal by 100. Okay, and if it's repeating, remember to write the repeating symbol with bar notation. Okay, just going on to page 258, we're going to compare numbers. So in a recent survey, 6/10 people said that they used their tax refund to pay bills, and 7% said that they will just spend it. Do more people pay bills or spend their refund? So notice we're showing a part of a whole represented as both a decimal and as a percent. So we both know they're parts of wholes, but we don't know which is more. So what we need to do is kind of convert them to be the same thing. So we know 6/10 is the same as 60%. And we know that because if we did that decimal, we'd move it over. And that's as a percent now, so we can compare that to 7. And we know 60% is much larger than 7. So we could say that more people plan on using their tax refund to pay bills rather than just reckless spending. So another word problem example. So in a survey, 14% of students said they would travel over spring break. That seems far away for us. And 3 out of 25 said they would watch videos. Is a bigger part of the students traveling, or are they watching videos? So again, we have a comparison of a percent, and a fraction, 3 out of 25. So what we have is 3 out of 25 is, you can write this, and that's the same as what proportion here of, that's the same as 12 out of 100. That's the same as 12%. Okay, so we could just get that 2% by doing that proportion. So what we know is 14% is greater than 12%. Therefore, more students are traveling than they are staying and watching videos. Okay, another one here, ordering numbers. This is important, and a lot of you tend to write your converted, but you want to write the original numbers when you are ordering them. So same thing, we've done this before. You have to convert these to be out of the same form, whether it's percents, decimals, or fractions. As long as they're the same and you can compare them, then you'll be okay. So let's say we're going to change these to percents. So 3/100 is the same as 3%. Okay, we can do that by just dividing and then moving the decimal. 7/20 is the same as 35/100. Multiplying both by 5 to get to be out of 100. And that's the same as 35%. If we get them to be out of 100, it's easy to tell that it's what percent there. And then so here we multiplied by 100 and got 33%. So if we order them least to greatest, then 3/10 is only 3%. Forgot to click that one. Least to greatest, that's 3%, 30%, 33%, 35. How you would order them, you would order them as the original numbers, and so it's 3/10, 30%, 33/100, and 7/20 are in order least to greatest. I'm doing this one, so again, if you have 22%, 1/10, 3/5, and 25/100, you're going to change them to percents or decimals. In this case, you could also change them to fractions, and I'll show you that in a second. 22%, we already know it's 22%. 1/10 would be the same as if you multiplied by 10, 10 out of 100, which is 10%. You'd multiply this by 4 to get it out of 100. So we get 12/100, which is 12%. And then 25/100 is the same as 25/100. So I changed them to fractions and therefore was able to make them decimals as well, or percents as well. And so what we know is that 1/10 is 10%, which is my smallest, least. I know my greatest then was 25, so that's on the end. And then 12% and 22% are in between least to greatest. So kind of a recap there. Remember, rewatch the video, pause where you need to, take some good notes, bring some questions to class, go back to the book, online tutors, or somebody else's video as well. Look forward to going over this with you.